We're recording. Okay, I wanted to welcome you all to the Habits of Health Lifestyle Hutchinson meeting. And what we do is we talk about different habits of health that can make a big change in your life. And I think the one we're going to talk about today is a pretty good one. It's conquering a diet mentality. And Jana done pretty good with her life. Okay, let me get this show started. All right. Now we go into our disclaimer because we're not doctors. So the following PowerPoint may contain the personal testimonies of some independent health coaches or clients, and every person is unique, and we cannot guarantee like or similar outcomes. Keep in mind these presentations are my own, and I derived them from many health professionals and sources, and they're not a substitute for professional medical advice. It's our recommendation you consult with a physician before starting a weight loss program. Yours in health, Coach Fred, Habits of Health Lifestyle Hutchinson. And of course, like I say, just making one change in one habit can make a big difference. And what we're working towards is this right here, where we're going to make the right hand turn and eat healthy and do things that are healthy. Non-diet mentality. I'm going to talk about diet mentality and non-diet mentality. And have you ever felt like this? You know, you're scared to look at the scale. First, I have a little video here from Dr. A. It's a short one.
As you know, having the flu isn't fun, and most people are somewhere between sick and non-sick. Very few people are optimally healthy. So what we're going to do, focus on little baby steps we can make, which will move you in the right direction. You know, the thing about creating health, it's easy to do some of these things, and it's just as easy not to do them. And since we don't usually see a difference right at the start, we have a tendency to do the things that give us immediate gratification. So if you had a cheeseburger for lunch today, that wouldn't make much of a difference today in your health. If you had a salad, that wouldn't make that much difference either. But over time, it can make all the difference in the world. We're going to focus on starting to change the momentum of your life, starting to make healthier choices, and do it around a bunch of other people having fun doing the same thing. That's not just what you're eating, by the way. It's also how you sleep, how you move, how you handle stress. All of these things over time can make all the difference on whether you're heading to a robust life full of energy and vibrancy, or whether you're kind of like a cell phone whose battery is discharging, where it gets run down and you feel the energy almost coming out of you. So wherever you've been, we're here to help you. Now focus on health, have fun, be part of a group of people that are also doing the same things.
Diet. Oh yes, wanted to make sure you got to see this one. When you say going on a diet, this is what different people think. First picture over there on the left says that's what you think is going to happen. From 234 down to 122, no problem. What your boyfriend thinks is going to happen, the second one. What the girlfriend thinks is going to happen. What society thinks is going to happen. What should happen. And then the bottom right, what really happens. Ripping that diet apart. Okay, now this is what the diet cycle is. For some reason, you start a diet, and most diets are a restriction. And then when you have restriction, it leads to deprivation. And then when deprivation happens, it leads to craving, and then you give in and Katie bar the door, and then you're guilty, and then start the diet again. This is the diet cycle. That happens to a lot of us, I'm sure. Now, this is the diet mindset versus intuitive eating. And what we want to work towards is, of course, intuitive eating. First side diet mindset, can I have this? And what you really should be thinking, do I want this? You know, do I need it? How do I look? Well, you should be thinking about how do you feel? That's more important. How much food do I get today? And how much food do I need today? There's the difference. Will this make me skinny? And will it nourish me? I exercise so I can eat. Well, you really should eat so you can exercise. I can eat whatever I want on my cheat day. I can eat what I want every day. And Bill explains that really good. Food is my worst enemy and my favorite reward. Food is just food. It's not that big a deal. I guarantee you that the only time that food is important to you is right before you eat. You know, after you've eaten, it doesn't matter what you ate to get to a full, satisfied feeling. But that's something to think about. Non-diet mentality. Am I hungry? Do I want it? Will I be deprived if I don't eat it? Think about that sometimes. Will it be satisfying? Does it taste good? Is it feeding my body? Is it healing my body? I deserve to enjoy eating without guilt, and I trust myself in food. I recognize my inner body cues. That's important. That's that body awareness that we talk about all the time. I view success as honoring what my body is telling me and asking for. That would be a good success. To avoid the diet mentality over on the left, external rules, rather than using your internal cues. Diet mentality is rigid, while eating properly is flexible. Deprived versus satisfied. Instead of feeling guilty, just feel pleasure. Fear and trust. Preoccupied and empowered. You know, when you're doing the program right, I know that you feel good and you feel empowered. You feel like you can conquer anything. Weight loss, and think of it as nourishment. Don't worry about the weight loss part. Shame and compassion. Judgment and acceptance. Oppressed, freedom, and in control and in charge. There's a lot of difference between in control and in charge. Now, this is the principles of intuitive eating. Reject the diet mentality. Let yourself get angry at the lies you've been told and have led you to feel like you were a failure every time you diet. The diet didn't work for you. Honor your hunger. When your body trusts, now this is good. When your body trusts that you will consistently nourish it, you build trust between your mind and your body, and you no longer feel out of control around food. I really like that one. Say goodbye to food rules and restrictions. No more labeling food as good or bad. I'm sure you've done that. Say blank blank to that inner voice in your head, that anyone who tries to tell you that you're good or bad for depending on whatever you're eating, a particular food. Feel your fullness. Check in with yourself when you're eating. Ask yourself how the food tastes. Listen to your body's signals that you are no longer hungry. Number 6, discover the satisfaction factor. Allow yourself to eat food that satisfy you and give you pleasure. Learn to tune in what feels good and what doesn't feel good in your body. 7 is cope with your emotions without using food. Ask yourself, what do I really need at this moment? Think about how your body feels. Do you really need that at this moment? Respect your body. Recognize your body for all it does for you instead of criticizing for all the ways that it's not perfect. Nobody's perfect, but we can all make improvements on where we're at. Exercise, feel the difference. Shift from focusing on burning calories or losing weight instead of focusing on how movement makes you feel. And 10, honor your health. Eat what tastes good and what makes you feel good. The goal isn't to see all food as equally nutritious is to have the same emotional response regardless of what you eat. And to avoid the diet mentality, rejecting the diet mentality, do I deserve it? That's one thing that a lot of times you'll ask yourself. A lot of times you'll lose 10 pounds and I deserve it. I'm going to go out and get a couple of pecan pies. And rather than am I hungry? I bet we all eaten one time or another when you wasn't even hungry. I know I have. If I eat a heavy food, I try to make up for it later. You know, if you eat something heavy, a lot of times people at binge, particularly, they'll eat pig out one day, and then the next day they'll not hardly eat anything, and they'll exercise to the extreme. That's not what we really want to do. Non-diet mentality, do I want it? Will I deprived if I don't eat it? I mentioned that earlier. And over on the diet mentality side, I feel guilty when I eat heavy foods. Guilt is normal, but you shouldn't feel that way. You've already done it, you know, own up to it and move on. I usually describe a day of eating either as good or bad. I know I'm guilty of that. I view food as the enemy. And then back over to the non-diet mentality side, will it be satisfying? Does it taste good? I deserve to enjoy eating without guilt. We all deserve that. When focusing on weight loss, that's where the diet mentality comes in. If you're focusing solely on losing weight, or you want to lose weight so you can go to a family reunion 2 weeks from now, that's when the diet mentality kicks in. Focus on weight loss, starting and stopping all the time. This is all part of the diet mentality. Frequent cheating, Dr. A says 85% or more failure rate. And we talked about willpower and how willpower works real good until it doesn't. So you want a solid structure under you. And that's what we want to try to do with this program. We try to make it so simple that it provides a structure for you. You don't even have to think about it. And then I'm already a fat burn. I might as well go ahead and eat what I want. Has anybody here not said that? Raise your hand or say something, I guess, for your gals that are too shy to show the picture today.
I can't figure it out, but yeah, I've been there and done that too, so.
Yeah, me too. Eliminate a problem, you know, obesity. Problem solving just doesn't work because it leads to relapse and return to the previous habits. On the other hand, the non-diet mentality, this is when you focus on creating health, always on program, consistently thinking about it all the time, and making decisions that work for you, being on program all the time. And intrinsically motivated, that means from the inside, motivated because you have your why, you have your goals that you want to accomplish. You know, you have a month goal, you have a three-month goal, a yearly goal, something like that. Mindfulness is extremely important. Knowing what your body's telling you. One bite is not a trigger for binging. That's because we know we can take just one bite. And if you plan to do that to start with, you won't have any problems. Creating health, always advancing, refining, learning, and growing. Tapping into all support and educational resources available, because we've got tons of them. A little bit of play with words there. Making health a priority. And diet and health. I've showed this to you before. You think of, if you're on a diet, you think food's the enemy, but if you're on a healthy plan, you're thinking about food as a fuel. My bad habits versus my good habits. Things I'm temporarily doing, things I'm going to do forever because it helps me stay healthy. things I don't like about myself versus things that I want for myself. See the difference? The scale versus daily choices and a finish line. Always when you're on a diet, you have a finish line. But we're talking about a lifelong journey. I have here a video I found on YouTube on TED Talks. I really like TED Talks, and this guy reminds me so much of my grandson, Ashland.
My little brother was very good at a few things from a very young age. The first thing he was really good at was making everybody laugh while they're trying. Like the one time I told him he should have a little bit of protein after a workout. He got all excited because he thought I said poutine. The second thing he was good at was eating large quantities of food. Come dinner time, it wasn't uncommon for him to out-eat most of the adults at the table. Now, as you may have guessed, as a 5'0" little boy, there is in fact a downside to regularly out-eating full-grown men. At just 11 years old, I could already see that if nothing else changed, my little brother was headed for an adolescent life littered with teasing and unhealthy eating. As his older brother, I wanted to do something about it. As a nutrition or a kinesiology student with an intense interest in nutrition, I knew that I had to do something about it. Initially, I wasn't sure how, but I was determined to find a way. Now, in March of 2013, I broke my leg while I was walking to class, and I slipped on some ice. Yes, that is the whole story. I was walking, there was some ice, poof, broken leg. No lives saved, no purses returned, no cool story to tell. Well, little did I know as I laid there in that quickly melting puddle of ice, waiting for the ambulance to arrive, that this moment would forever change the life of my little brother. After I had a surgery to attach a small titanium plate and a few screws onto my fibula, I was given 2 crutches and told not to put any weight on my leg for 2 months. This posed a unique problem as there was still plenty of snow and ice on the ground, and I still had 2 months left of class spread out over one of the largest campuses in the country. So with that in mind, I made a decision that any other hardworking student in my position would do, and I obviously decided to stop going to classes. Now, with all this free time from studying at home, I had finally figured out how I was going to help my little brother. I knew that what he needed to do was very simple in theory, but very difficult in practice. What he needed to do was change his eating habits. From experience, I knew the things that he needed to change and the things that he didn't. The problem was that communicating this through somebody else would most likely just end up like the childhood game of telephone. The message gets passed along, but with little misunderstandings and misinterpretations along the way, there's not much left of the original message, and everybody's just left confused. And my little brother's eating habits are left unchanged. So keeping that in mind, I made one of the best decisions of my life, and I decided to move back home for the next 2 weeks and make every single meal that my little brother would eat, educating him about proper nutrition along the way. While I was at home, in the kitchen, I often found myself awkwardly trying to maneuver, holding onto 2 crutches, hot pans, and sharp knives. It wasn't very easy. I also had to make sure to take little breaks every few minutes to make sure that the swelling in my ankle wouldn't become unbearable. Now, after just 2 weeks, not only were the results phenomenal, but they were as a result of a strategy that anybody can use. The reason we were able to see such dramatic and positive results, which I'm very excited to share with you later, is that we changed his environment to match his goal. We made his environment work for him instead of against him. This simply meant replacing all of the bad options with healthy ones. Making this uncomplicated adjustment enabled us to easily transform his nutrition from the standard American diet, ironically referred to from its acronym SAD, to wholesome and nutritious without a hitch. Because of the planning, this wasn't the least bit difficult to do. When you remove the unhealthy options, wholesome and nutritious food becomes both plan A and plan B. The beauty of this solution is that it takes willpower almost completely out of the equation. Quite simply, if it's not there, you can't eat it. An added bonus to this strategy is that if there's no chips on the counter calling your name, it's likely that you'll just forget about them and completely avoid the feeling of deprivation all at once. A little bit of a brain block. This may sound a little bit too simple to be true, but I assure you it's not. When you remove the barriers to your success, in my little brother's case, unhealthy food, and you replace or you pave the way barrier-free, the road to success becomes a much smoother ride. So set up your environment so that it works for you instead of against you. This works well for any goal. For my little brother, I was the environment. I made all of his food, gave him the right snacks, and answered all of his questions. But what would that have looked like if I wasn't there? And how can you make this work for you? Well, to be successful, you have to minimize the difficult decisions being made. Say, for example, you walk out into the lobby, and on the left of those tables is delicious chocolate chip cookies, squares, and everything the like. On the right side is fresh fruit and vegetables, vibrant colors, chopped up nicely, they're crunchy and juicy. Now you've been sitting in here for 2 hours, so you're starving. You have a choice to make. Should you choose option A on the left? Or should you choose the wholesome, nutritious broccoli on the right? Now, given this scenario, I think it would be very hard for most of us to resist the temptation of option A. Now, this is a real life situation, and it's one that happens all the time. It's very important because of that reason. So when you remove the barriers to your success, it will just become a little bit easier for you to not have to make that hard decision in the first place. Here's how you can make this strategy work for yourself. Start off by finding out what your personal trigger foods are and make a promise to not keep them in your house anymore. So that when the time comes, the decision has already been made for you. Now, that's not to say you can never have these foods again. If you really want one, you can always just go to the store and buy one, or you can keep it so that you're only having them at special events such as this. Just don't keep a stash underneath the cupboard if you know that they're going to be an issue for you. That's how you make your environment work for you instead of against you. That's how you make healthy eating the default and not the exception. So if you have a personal goal of eating better, go home, find all of your junk food and a neighbor that you're not particularly fond of, and give it all to them. The basis of this strategy worked for my little 11-year-old brother, and it can certainly work for you too. Let me just finish off by sharing the final results of my little brother's lifestyle change. Let me also just point out that I had one main rule that I wanted to follow with the change. At no point did I want my 11-year-old brother to feel hungry or deprived. Here's how that worked out. After the first 7 days, he had lost 5 pounds. After the second week, it was 8 pounds. But it didn't just stop there. I went back to write exams and he kept going. After 20 days, it was 10 pounds. And by 36 days, he had averaged half a pound a day to top it off at 18 pounds lost. If everybody had their environment working for them instead of against them, my little brother's level of success would be the norm. My hope is that one day it will be. Thank you.
Calories. Those calories are those tiny creatures that live in your closet and sew your clothes a little tighter every night. I put my scale in the corner today and it will stay there until it apologizes. And you cannot change what you refuse to confront. There you go, Bill. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit.
That's great. Good job, Fred.
Yeah,
I was good.
I was looking around and I run across some old pictures of myself and Trini. And not sure exactly when this is, but it's quite a while ago. I was probably that way when we got married too. When I got married, this little gal right here that's graduating from nursing school was in diapers. So
Wow.
she was just a young one, so, and I was still that way, still the same old Federico. And then I run across this today too. This is my journey over a 7-month period from when I started in April of 2011 right here to November 2011. Yeah, this program works. There's no doubt about it. You all know it. We know it. Now we just got to share it with others.
Good job, Fred.
That really was.
Okie dokie. Does anybody have any questions? I'm going to stop the share right at this point, and I'm going to turn off the recording. But I just want to thank everybody for coming to this, and this is what we're all about. We're just about changing little habits at a time.